phrase, interestingly enough, the phrase that came to me on Saturday was very simple: summer fruit. And I'm like, what an odd phrase. I know I've read that in the Bible. So I start looking it up. And I'm like, what is the significance of summer fruit? Now, there was lots of different summer fruit. I think like pomegranates, and there was different ones. Grapes are the most talked about in Scripture, right? And so I'm like, what is this? And it seems like every time that summer fruit was brought up in prophecy, God was starting to rebuke the people because of their sin, and he was going to tread them down. Thus, the term grapes of wrath, right? And so I'm like, that's interesting. Why? So I'm reading commentaries, people that have dug into it, because it talks about poisonous fruit and everything. They said it's not that the fruit was bad. What it signified is fruit does not last long. Grapes don't last long unless you make wine out of it. But any summer fruit, it was a quick abundance, and then it would end. And then there was a time where they weren't going to have plenty. Well, in these prophecies over and over where this is brought up, the interesting thing is that God was talking about their sin, and he would bring up that they were sorcerers and diviners, but then he brought up another thing, that they were unjust in their wages to their workers. And now that was interesting to me. And if you dive into these different prophecies, the rich people of Israel had become so, all they cared about was their wealth. They would exploit the workers, and they hated the Sabbaths. Because they're sitting there in the Sabbaths, their heart is far from God. All they care about is being rich. And they're not seeking God, right? To them, the Sabbaths were wasting time when they could get their slaves back to work. So even though Israel had been led out of slavery to Egypt, they were enslaving their own people. And so this term, summer fruit, almost always in Scripture refers to a time when God's about ready to bring judgment because of this wickedness, right? And he's saying, turn back to me. Now, the interesting thing with this, and I'm going to wrap up with this,